All right. Okay. All right. In five, four, three, two, one. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Junior Golf Podcast. I'm your host, Ro Thompson, and we have a special guest in the building tonight. None other than Coach Seiko and Aki Matsumura, all the way live from Las Vegas, Nevada. How you guys doing tonight?
Really good.
You're doing amazing.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you for
having
having,
us
yeah, thank you for having us.
and happy to be here.
Hey, listen, thank y'all so much for being on. I think we've been trying to get this done for about, I won't tell anybody, about 2 to 3 years, maybe.
It is we're blessed to be here with you and your audience to give some value where we can. So thank you for having us here today.
Mhm.
Oh, well, listen, I know y'all are going to bring so much value to the podcast tonight. You know, uh, y'all been, we've been blessed to have you guys as coaches, and we've been blessed to have you to work with John over the last 3 to 4 years. And y'all got his headspace in a real good place. So we'll dive into that a little bit, okay?
Sounds good.
All right.
Amazing.
So before we get into all the mental coaching and performance things that take place in junior golf, give us a little bit of background on both of you, because both of you all come from uh, D1 golf programs, and so just give us a background on how you got started in the game of golf, and all the college accolades and all the pro stuff that's been going on.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, it's been a long journey. I think both of us together, nearly maybe it's 20 years now, that we've been doing this, and I think like. For me, I can speak for myself. I've always loved golf. My mom got us started. She used to run the junior golf back on Kauai, and shaped to where Kauai was, and she was influential in the Hawaii State junior golf program to where it is today. And so her involvement in that, she played at Arizona State in college, so she was always a golfer. It's me. And so we just grew up around it. I had an older brother, 1 year older, and an older sister, 6 years older. So while they were playing, like I just grew up around it and was blessed to have my mom, take us under and show us how to play. And then my dad came on later. I think he took up golf later in life, but we started from there, had the opportunity to play. I had the opportunity to play in college. Um, and from there, graduated in business, but found a route back into golf
Hmm.
and started my career teaching. I think like a lot of other instructors and coaches out there, and moved to California from Hawaii, to start teaching. One of the influential people in the golf world, like Randy Chang, kind of brought me under his wing in Hawaii and got me to move to California, and that's kind of where it all began in the junior golf space in teaching, and then it kind of evolved into the mindset, performance, and results training that we do today. But yeah, and then Seiko.
I started golf probably when I was like 7. My dad introduced me, and I had a choice between going to Japanese school or and going from like 8 to 12 or golfing from 8 to 12. And I was like, I love Japanese and I want to learn it. But I got to train with my dad for those 4 hours when I was little, and I'm so glad that he introduced me to the game.
Hmm.
I went to IMG in my junior year, my junior and senior year. I went to the Ledbetter Academy, so that was amazing. The best, almost as cool as college, maybe even better. Just meeting all the
Right.
people and training all day. And then which led me to playing at Pepperdine my freshman year. And then I transferred to USC, Southern California, where they were the number one team in the country at the time. They just won a national championship. So that
Wow.
was cool. And, looking back, I've always wanted to have my own golf academy, which I got to. I had my own academy. And then Aki and I decided to merge together and we started teaching. And then we're like, there's more to this. We feel, we're not just instructors, but we wanted to do more than just teaching the swing. We wanted to, teach all parts of it, especially for me, I love the mindset piece because it just it creates the junior golfer to be who they want to be and who they need to be to get to the highest level and get to all their levels. Um, and then yeah, that brings us to now where we're, together coaching and wouldn't want to, have it any other way. Love where I'm
That
at.
is that is awesome. Yeah, and a lot of times when you have when you get into the mindset of coaching, sometimes you have people that don't have a background in golf, but they may be a psychologist and they can talk about that stuff. But see, y'all have actually went through the fire. Y'all actually went through the journey of playing and playing good and playing bad sometimes, having ups and downs, being a part of championships, going to D1, golf programs. So, y'all can really truly say that, hey, we've experienced everything that you're going through. So we understand and we can kind of give you tips on how to handle that. So again, I appreciate everything that y'all have done in the past, everything that y'all are doing. And so, what I want to do right now is just really get into some questions because we have a lot of juniors out there that's really trying to make that leap to um, to being recruited, to getting to that next level of playing college golf, and having dreams of playing professionally one day. So, I think the biggest thing, the thing that I liked about you all when I first met you all, y'all said that we're not necessarily sports psychologists, but we're performance, mental performance coaches. Explain to our audience a little bit about what would you say the difference in both of those positions.
Yeah, well, it's such a like mental and mindset, it's such a broad range, right?
Mhm.
And so while we can't speak to like what all the other great coaches and influencers out there are doing,
Yeah.
um, I can speak to like kind of how we differentiate it, right? And
Right.
so to me, I look at it as, mindset is a mechanism of just how you think,
Mhm.
right? Where when you look into performance and results performance, it's more than just what you think. It's holistic, right? It's how you think, it's who you're being in that moment. It's the strategy that you have, meaning, the way you prioritize the skills into like what you're learning, and it's how every piece um influences another piece. For example, we might not we there's players that we work with, they know exactly what to do, and I
Right.
just got to go do this drill, do this thing after my shot, before my shot, whatever it means or whatever it is. And then, when it comes down to it on the course or in the tournament, it's like I didn't do it. Right. And they know they had to do it. And there's, a couple reasons why, right? One is like I had no idea. And I wasn't even present to the fact that I wasn't doing it. And after the fact, I realized it,
Hmm.
which means keeps a blind spot open. And so in performance, it's like what's having that blind spot, not me not even realizing it's going on. But in hindsight, I see it all the time, which means the problem never gets solved. We just kind of bury the same thing and keep on trying harder at the thing that we're not even aware to. And then there's the other side that is like, well, I knew I supposed to do this in the moment and I make a decision. And then it goes into there's a lot of different pieces in not just how you think, there is like the meaning that you pull in and interpretation of events. There is like your physiology, right? Imagine watching the Super Bowl coming up in a couple of weeks, like you either root for a team or not, and you might
Mhm.
be there and you'd be like you'd be like your mental thoughts will follow like, oh, I don't think we can win because we're losing, and all of a sudden you score and you jump up and down like I think we have a shot. And
Up
so
and
like
down.
you know and so when it comes down to mental performance or performance and result style coaching, it's like looking at all of those pieces. There are like dozens and dozens and dozens of different variables that you look in that what alters what you think, because sometimes it's like I may know how to think but I'm just not willing to do it in that moment. And so,
Choices.
yeah, comes down to a lot in decisions.
Right, right. So let's talk about the I guess the biggest issue that when junior golfers are out on the course, let's talk about the blow up hole. So everybody, every golfer has a blow up hole, and let's talk a little bit about what happens in those 10 minutes of having that blow up hole psychologically and physiologically. What's taking place during that time.
Yeah, I think that's such a great question. Again, it's like such a broad question, right? Because there's so many different styles of blow up holes. And it's something that I don't think anybody can remove. And so I think in that 10 minutes that you're talking about, whether it's sometimes it's longer, right? Sometimes it's a few minutes, like half a hole. Sometimes it's like takes you
Right.
two, three holes. Sometimes it's the whole round, right? It kind of
Yeah.
spirals and just depends on, the event and your capabilities at that time. But in those 10 minutes, I believe what's happening is just chaos. And
Yeah.
it's chaos and you're trying to find your way out of like just where's my certainty at in what I'm supposed to do because everything that you're doing is not working as a player and working with a lot of players, you know, um, I truly believe that a player is not out there in a bad situation, having a bad shot, saying, you know what, I'm gonna give my second best swing on this one. I'm gonna pick my second best option on this shot. I truly believe.
Mm-hmm.
And even in terms of like elite players, they're not really saying, I'm like, you know what, I give up and I just want to walk. They might have a thought, but when they're hitting it, if you truly give up, you walk in, right? So I truly believe like in those moments, players and even a player myself, like you're trying to do the best with what you have. And it just takes time to come out. And then it goes into like, certain skills that you have to develop to come out. Um, and there is processes that you have to run in order to
Mm.
get out. And it's not as it's not as easy as, when you hear tour players and say, I just did this one thing and I thought this beautiful thing and it turned around. I
Yeah.
think what they don't share is like all the thousands of times before that it didn't work. And then that was the one time that it did work.
Right.
And so, here's like my thoughts or our thoughts like on what you would do in those situations, but like Seiko thoughts for you.
Yeah, like I just piggybacking on what Aki's saying, like it just depends on what is really going on in the player's mind, right? And
Mhm.
from a parent standpoint, or maybe from a spectator, it's like, man, just let it go, like just forget the past. But
Yeah. Right.
I think, at just, working with so many kids and working on myself, we have so many, we've learned so much,
Mm.
of the, in the past, we were learned how to educate certain things. And so there's so many layers of like the true self. So, it's for my side, it's like, okay, what's the first layer that we can peel off so they can really see who they are or who they want to be and who they need to be. But again, it just really depends on, what's really going on in their head. Some players might not have the core strategy down. Some people might
Well,
have the core strategy or make a different decision. And then they're like,
yes.
oh shoot, why did I do that? And then they're like beating themselves up. So there's just
Right.
so many like things that could create the blow up. Um, but yeah, Aki, go ahead.
Yeah. So like how would you deal with a blow up is excuse me. I think I feel like expectation is the biggest driver, right?
Okay.
What keeps you in. Expectation is and what keeps you in is that hoping. I'm hoping to get out, right? And
Right.
so whenever we have like in our world, we say like remove expectations, right? Because
Mhm.
expectations always lead to some level of pain, even though you might have success.
Let's just be real. Expectations is equal pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's removing expectations. We see expectations in the language that we use. So whenever we use language like I should have done this, I could have done this, absolute language where it's like, well, I got one or the other.
Coulda,
So
woulda,
instead
shoulda.
Do
of I
this
have to, I
now.
must, a college coach is coming, like I gotta show up today. Like that's an
Hmm.
expectation.
Make a birdie now.
I gotta make a
Yeah.
bird, right? Like, oh, I got short-sighted, I gotta get up and down right now. Like
Hmm.
I must, I have to. Maybe it's easy, it's simple holes that we look at that we par all the time, we birdie all the time, and we're like, man, I never bogey this so. Right.
Hmm.
I never and always. I always make these 3-footers. I always hit the fairway in this hole. Right. I always at least make par. Never make these mistakes. Like that's
Yeah.
where it all stems because then that's what leads to just the judgment and the pain. And so inside there is a moment, it's like, man, I shouldn't have done this shot, or I never hit this
Hmm.
shot. I could have aimed over here, or I never make a swing like this.
Right.
And so and I never in part of it is like I want to get rid of blowups. That's absolute. Like you can't get rid of it. So a big part is like where am I using expectation language? And we want to remove that language. and start to just not have it in our vocabulary, right? And so if we have a belief that says, I want to remove and get rid of all blow up holes, that's an absolute language, which is an impossibility, which means
Right.
when that blow up happens, I'm going to be stuck in it because I'll be sitting so much disbelief that I wouldn't be able to. And if I can't get over that hump, like the next shot really doesn't matter. And we say like we're holding on to past things. That's the past thing that we're holding on to. Or if
Right.
we're holding on to the future, I got to make this shot so that I can make the cut. So I can qualify for this, so I can get the D1 looks. Then we're stuck in the future, and that's all expectation. I would remove for us, like we'll coach our players, remove every single expectation word. So write them all down. What am I saying to
Hmm.
myself? What am I saying in language? It's not just like the words that we say, it's the words that we say. It's the words that we just have in like fun conversations. It's the things that I run in my head that I'm not saying out loud. And it's also the feeling that I'm having. I
Mhm.
feel like I shouldn't miss this,
Yeah.
where all of that revolves around language. And those things we really don't have control, right? One thing we do have control over are things that we want. So if we write down all of the language that we use that are expectations, and when they come up, we replace it with the word want. Like what I have control over are the things that I want, right? Like if I
That
want,
brings you more present.
yeah, if I want to go, make
Yeah.
$100 million, like nobody has, like I have, right? That's
Yeah.
my want, right? That's private to me and
Yeah.
personal to me, regardless of what anybody else says, right? And so replacing it with want is one huge strategy that we teach because you get to control what you want. Now you got to go acquire the skill sets to go put those pieces
To
in place,
execute.
right? And
That's
so if I
right.
want $100 million, like I got to go acquire different business skills, right? Different
Right.
sales skills, right? Different type of um, levers that I got to go pull to do that. But that is one of the biggest pieces I see in like blow up holes
Right.
is
So let me ask you this, Coach Aki. So let's say we have that blow up hole. We're trying to delete that three putt or that shank out of our mind before we get to the next tee box. What's a good strategy? Um, what's one good strategy? Because we don't want to, give it all out, but what's one good strategy a junior golfer can use between that blow up hole and the next tee box just to kind of get them back in the right mindset? What's a good strategy?
Yeah. So there's one strategy, or there's a strategy that we call zone of opportunity. And
Okay.
so being clear on like what the zone of opportunity. So one is just knowing what the opportunity is. So focus is such a big thing. And a lot of times we're trying to get out of the pass. So if I three
Right.
putted, when I'm
Mm-hmm.
going up to the first tee box, oftentimes a player might be thinking about like I got to go stripe this drive or I got to work on this thing on my swing, where that's not a zone, right? That's a tactic. It's like I got to hit the ball no matter what. So have I identified where my ball needs to go? So if my
Mm-hmm.
ball is like I got to get my ball in the left side of the fairway in this margin, chances are it's almost zero that you hit it there on the spot. Could you hit it there? Yeah, because we don't hit our, you don't hit your shots like like Scott and Decade says like a sniper's rifle, right? We hit it in a pattern.
Yeah.
So do you
Shotgun
know that
pattern.
the shotgun pattern, right? So are
Yeah.
you familiar with the zone that you're even trying to hit it in
Mm.
off the tee, right? Like, so what's the area? And sometimes we get too specific until I have to hit it this way. And it goes back to the previous things that we talked about earlier, but like identify the zone. So if I got in a three putt, now the only core thing I got to get it to that, not I gotta, right?
I
Like I
want
want to
to.
get it to that zone.
Want to,
And
yeah.
now then it gets you to pull yourself out and say, now here's where I'm at. If I'm nervous, now that I'm tight, I'm nervous. I probably not able to do the things I could do before, but yet I have to get it there. And then your strategy molds into that zone. So the focus then becomes whatever it takes to get it there, not here's the perfect swing to just get me off the box. So
Gotcha.
it's
Yeah.
identifying the zone. Sometimes we pump it out and it's like, well, I got to go drop or I got to go re-tee. Like, is that still the appropriate zone? Right? And it's identifying, and that's very tactical that, we find a lot of players that's not even top of mind. Where does my ball need to go?
Right. Right.
And then from there, you can back it out into like, here's the swing and the shot that I have to hit to still get it there.
Gotcha.
Success is the only thing that pulls you out. You got to be
Right.
able to hit the good shot and you got to be able to do it on command
Yeah.
and on purpose.
Good. Good. Now, Coach Seiko, jump in here for a second. I wanted to ask you about a pre-shot routine. So what's a good pre-shot routine that can help junior golfers forget about the last hole? Just what's something that they can do to kind of, you know, and it's something that they can do every time before they hit the next shot.
Yeah, something that's coming up for me is just tell the truth. Okay, maybe I three putted. Okay, I three putted.
Right.
Okay.
Or
Not
four
try and
putted.
hide it or push
Right.
it down, right? Because then it's just
Right.
gonna always come up. So it's just like, okay, I three putted. What do I
Hmm.
want to do now? What do I want to do next? Right? That's going back to just what I want. And then that helps you just get back into focus. I think a lot of people try and hide it or like pretend it's not there. It's like, well,
Hmm.
let's just, the truth is right here. We gotta, know the facts, the data, and the truth. So I think the fastest and the biggest thing is just tell the truth and then tell yourself the truth and then know, okay, what do I want to do next?
Right.
Because that's
Yeah.
the most important piece.
Right. Tell the truth.
Yep.
My wife would say, tell the truth or shame the devil, right? So let me ask you this, Coach Hockey. What's when a junior golfer can be on the range striping it, hitting it perfect. Then they get to the the course, and it's a little more stressful. They're a little bit more nervous. What's the best way for a junior golfer to translate what they did on the range to the actual course?
Yeah, I think it's important to understand like why that happens first, right? So you know what lever you're pulling.
Hmm.
Um, I think as parents, they watch their kids, right? Not every parent watches, but like a lot of them do, right? At the high level.
Yeah,
It even for like when you watch John, like do you remember a time like you're watching him and it's like, man, this guy doesn't miss. Like he's certain, like he looks like he belongs on tour. And then
yeah,
there's like another version, it's like, man, what happened? Like he looks like he just started the game.
yeah.
And we see two different versions. And so the transference from like practice to play is to tournaments is not, it's not like binary. Let me just do more reps of it. It's because when they're
Hmm.
practicing, they're showing up a certain way. Like that version is like they're so certain they've done it so many times. And when nerves come in, you're not having the nerves, right?
Right,
Like the Masters is coming around the corner here. If a player is going into Augusta for the first time, I don't think anybody can replicate. I've never played at the Masters, but I would
Mhm.
imagine anybody who has would say that first time in Augusta, you cannot replicate those nerves and
right.
that like emotions, right? And so, that transfer is like the transfer happens not when you're in the range, it happens before you even get to the range and throughout. And
Mm.
that's what we call like identity. It's you have to live inside the identity of like the player that you want to be. So if you want to be a tour player,
Mhm.
then you have to think like a tour player, a champion. You have to behave like them. You have to use the
Right.
same language as them. It's not just putting the same amount of time. It's the communication, it's the self-talk, and you'll see these different gaps that you have. And when you see like, hey, I don't do this like a tour player, or like the player, I see myself as that under par player, but I do it in practice, but I don't do it in tournaments. That's the level that you have to build a skill in. And so it happens, all of that happens before you even get to the course, so that you have so many reps going in,
Right.
that it's just the thing that you do. So when I'm
Then you
nervous,
just become that.
yeah. So when I'm
Yeah.
nervous, I'm aware that I'm nervous, which
Yeah.
means I know how to adapt, which means I'm not going to try and hit the same shot, put the same swing on it. There are like step downs that I have that accustomed when it's tight, when I feel adrenaline, like you think
When you
through all
feel
those. Hmm. And
Yeah.
so that real difference comes from not just the amount of balls that you hit. It's like it's that state of being that you're in all the time. Do you see yourself in that way? And then I'm going to go attach the behaviors. And when you
Hmm.
start to attach the behaviors, your whole nervous system starts to believe that's who you are. So when you're on the course, you're not trying to get rid of the nerves. You're like, hey, like here's just what I do when I'm nervous. And the moment you can execute on that when you're nervous, then the nerves actually start to fade,
That's
right?
good.
And
Yeah.
and so that is how at a more macro level, how I would solve like all of those.
That's good. So Coach Seikos, so how do you reframe anxiety when you're on the course to to how do you get through the anxiety of, okay, I don't want to hit a bad shot because it's going to mess up my scorecard, how do
Hmm.
you just how do you just get into a state of, man, let's just go play golf, you know?
Yeah. There's a couple things. I think one, just knowing, okay, these are the things that trigger me, or these are the things that, trip me up on the golf course, and writing them down. I think that's so important because a lot of juniors just want to go play. Oh, I feel good today. I'm just going to go play. I think
Mm,
writing things down like, okay, when I feel like this, I if I feel this, then I do this.
mhm.
But another thing, don't want to like take up the whole time, but
No,
um,
no.
we have a thing called the triad, right?
Okay.
And the triad gets you in like peak state right away on demand.
Ooh. Okay.
And just so it's
Yeah.
not our thing, right? Like
I mean, yes, it's not our
that
thing.
that's like NLP, neuro linguistic programming, right? So, but it's
Do
an
you want to
actual
share a
thing.
little bit about it?
Yeah, triad is your state, right? So what you're thinking, what you're feeling,
Right.
and the thing that you're alluding to is like your state. Like
Yeah.
our state determines what we do. So
Hmm.
there are three core areas that affects your state. It's your focus. Like whatever you're focusing on is where your energy goes, right? There's your language and meaning. And it's not just the word you say, the language and meaning is like how am I interpreting the event that's coming
Yep.
in?
How am I interpreting the anxiety? It might not be for some people, for some kids, it's like, you know what? Actually, it's not really anxiety. It's like, I'm actually excited,
Yeah.
right? And
Right.
that could come from like, oh my gosh, so you get to
Mm.
choose your meaning.
Yeah. So if I hit a shot and it's like, oh my gosh, the meaning I pull in when I hit in the water or I miss a green and the coach is watching, if the meaning I pull in is like the coach doesn't want me now because of that shot, like
Yeah.
we know that the truth is that's not true, but if we believe that to be true, it's going to cause anxiety. Like that's where meaning comes in, right? If I focus, on coach is watching, I got to hit this good shot, like it's going to cause anxiety. So it's moving focus, changing meaning. And then physiology is like in your body, like getting your body move. So the same way you might watch football and a football player like shakes his friend or whacks his teammate, like it disrupts physically. So
And
physiology is going to disrupt your state to get you back. So when you're in the tournament, when you're in game day, the number one thing to snap you out is always physiology, getting into your body.
yeah,
Hmm.
it was like doing push-ups, jumping
So
jack,
jumping
just
jacks, push
getting
ups,
into back into their body,
yeah.
Gotcha.
And so a lot of times, like
less in their head.
yeah, in your body, out of your head. So we say, I want to get out of my head, but if you're trying to think your way out of it, you're stuck in your head. So
Mm.
think like, physical sports, they get into their body. You don't see a football team like walk into the field. They're running into the field, right? Because that's
It's
like
getting them into their body.
they're anxious, they're nervous, right? And they got to get themselves moving. And so your ability to get your body moving. So parents will probably always tell your kids, like, you're looking down, you're walking slow.
Body
That's
language.
physiology, that's body language. Hey, you look like you're angry, like we're seeing the physiology. So you train yourself to change your physiology, like looking at the horizon does a little bit, right? Versus looking at
Mhm.
your shoes, like Tiger says, look up versus down, right?
Right.
Speaking of his physiology, all of that stuff makes a difference. And
And
so
physiology is number one.
and physiology is number one when it
Okay.
comes to playing the game inside the game. The long-term development is focus and meaning. Over time, you can change meaning that changes your physiology. But just like watching the game, like a Super Bowl in a couple weeks, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm losing, your physiology goes down. When they score, I got a chance, you go up, and now your thoughts change. So
And
your
it's like,
state and your physiology can immediately change your thoughts
Yeah.
and you cannot think your way out of it. So it's getting into your body and accessing the stuff that's in your body so you can help out of it.
Great. Great. Let's switch gears for a second. Let's talk about the zone. I think every golfer wants to experience the zone, just being in that state of mind where it's like, I'm not even thinking about it, but I'm just hitting these great shots and making these great putts. How does how does a player get in the zone?
I think
Okay.
going back into the triad. I
Okay.
mean, that's you got to practice that. And the more you can
Yeah.
practice that physiology, the more you can practice the meaning of like, okay, I'm feeling this, but that doesn't
Mm.
mean, it just maybe means that's why you have to like sit down with yourself and write out all the stories. We always say we call them stories because they're not truths, even though we think it is. That's why it's so important you have to know the facts, the truth, the data, because your mind can play tricks on you and create these meanings. So, um, yeah, it's really important to, practice first knowing what those stories are, but practicing those three things, getting into good physiology,
Hmm.
looking up, which also helps create your uh what's it call meaning, and you can even say like a mantra. Like for me, it's like I deserve this. It gets me
Yeah,
focused. It gets me present.
yeah,
Another mantra I used even when I played this past weekend was like I'm vulnerable because I hate getting like tight. And I'm like I don't even care if I miss it. I just want
right.
to give myself the best opportunity. So when
Yeah,
I say I'm vulnerable,
yeah.
I'm just like so calm and I'm just there. Which
Okay.
then focus is like, okay, I'm going to focus on what I want to do and focus on this target, and that's all I can do. But when you practice that, you just automatically can get into that state of mind.
Yeah. So like the zone, if you look at it, right, the zone is like I'm focused on the thing, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing that can go wrong and disrupt me. Like I see a thing, oh, not a big deal. I missed the putt, not a big deal. I missed the green, I can get up. That's the meaning, right? And your
Hmm.
physiology, like in your body, you feel this energy, right? Like, and your body's flowing more with endorphins than the cortisol, but you're training yourself to be in state. You're walking differently when you're in the zone. Your head's up. You
Hmm.
put your clubs in your bag, so you can manufacture your way into the zone. And then when Seiko alludes to
That's
like
good.
practicing those three.
You're practicing like at home, in the bathroom, like everywhere. This is not
Yeah.
just, oh, when I'm on the range or I'm on the course. Like for me, like I love being present. Like when I eat lunch, I don't watch TV. I just focus on my food.
Eating. Got
Just eating, just that's, if you want to get in the zone, that's you got to practice it all the time and rehearse it all the time.
That's good. I think that's where a lot of junior golfers are trying to get to, where they just like in a zone and don't make any mistakes. But what's the biggest mistake y'all see juniors make when they're out on the course?
I think something that's coming up for me is let me just go by feel. Oh, I feel good today. Everything's going to
Hmm.
go well. It's not necessarily true. Or if I feel bad, I'm going to play not so good.
Yeah, right,
Right?
right. Opposite,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's me.
Yeah, I would echo that. Playing by feel.
I know feel is good for like chip shots, like, under trees, all those things. I think we have
Hmm.
to have feel. You have to feel no matter
Right.
what. But you can't just go off of that. You have to have a system.
Yeah. So, having systems and protocols in place makes you feel better. But that would be the biggest mistake because there's a lot of players that are so talented and they can swing it, they can hit it, right?
Hmm.
They're so
And then
masterful in their skill.
yeah, and they put so much time in. They strike it like tour players as teenagers.
Right.
They got technically sound, and I mean, my hallucination. I've never talked to Scotty Scheffler or Rory or Tiger, but my hallucination is like they may say they play by feel, but they have so many like structured rules that they follow
Mhm.
that
Infrastructure in their game,
that their
in their
feel
life.
falls inside of the rules and boundaries that they have, right? And they have a caddy to keep them in line with the rules and
Yeah.
boundaries. So then their feel is contained, right? And so when you have feel with no boundaries and no rules, then it's like you're just painting on a blank canvas, not knowing what you're even trying to paint.
Gotcha.
And that's where it goes, because the moment it goes off, you end up with a totally different picture and you're like, what just happened?
The hubcaps and the wheels just came off, right?
Yeah.
Well, listen. All right. Well, how do y'all feel about affirmations? Talking to yourself, instead of saying don't hit it in the water, you know, what should a junior say? Or don't hit it OB. What should they say? Well, how do y'all feel about junior golfers talking to themselves?
I think it's so
It's
powerful.
everything.
Is
Yeah.
everything?
What
Yeah.
you say becomes your truth,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Mm.
We speak our truth, what we'll always share with like our players and families. And even when we work with parents, like the story we tell ourselves the most becomes our truth,
Right.
right?
That's why you have to be so intentional with what
Yeah.
you're saying to yourself.
The truth
And you got to catch
becomes
it right away.
the truth becomes your reality, and your reality is what you're functioning on. And so like you don't have to do anything. What I offer anybody is speak into existence the person that you want
Hmm.
to become. And so the only way you can get there is you have to look and you have to go in and you have to define like who do I want to be? So we can't go take Scotty Scheffler's affirmations and make it work for us because Scotty's doing the thing for him, right? Like you
Hmm.
can't take Rory's and do it for him. Like they can give you examples, right? But like you have to do the first step and you have to define who is it that I want to be? How is it that I want to show up when I'm holding the trophy, when I'm at D1, when I'm on tour, when I've won the Masters, when I won the US Open, when I've broken all the records, like who am I then? What would I be saying? How would I describe?
When I'm playing my best golf, who am I?
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
And then you customize it for yourself. There's a protocol that we have that I would call them CSCs, conscious self-creation. That'd be like a version of an affirmation, but the affirmation is custom to you.
Hmm.
So we look at any part that is not aligned with the player or person you want to be, then that becomes a specific affirmation. So if I'm like, but players like, man, I suck at putting and I
Yeah.
can't make
Yeah.
anything, right? Like that's their mental thought.
Right.
Then the affirmation or the CSC then would be, I'm the greatest putter in the world. I
Yeah.
am a
Master of line and speed.
I'm a master of alignment speed, right?
Wow. Yeah.
I make birdies, right? And
I'm a
that
birdie machine.
so that the affirmation
I'm unstoppable on the putting green. I love making
I love
CSCs.
putting, right? Like so that affirmation or CSC fills the void of that little
Hmm.
piece. And that's where it then becomes customizable. The mistake in, not the mistake, where it falls short, I would say, is we only speak the language and we don't do the action. So if we only say the words, I can tell myself
You're the
I,
best putter,
I'm the best putter.
but
I
if you're
can tell
not working on
myself
line and speed,
if I
Hmm.
tell myself I want the same
Mhm.
bank account as Elon Musk, but if I don't do the actions, it's just a prayer. It's never
Right.
going to happen.
The
So if I
wish.
tell, right? So if a
Mhm.
player says, I'm the best putter in the world, right? I'm a master of line and speed. They have to attach the behaviors of that. So you have to have an obsession around the behaviors. If somebody is
Hmm.
like, man, I just want to get better on conversions around the green and say like I'm a short game wizard. If you are
Right.
not holding the wedge and putter in your
Mhm.
hand like you're a wizard and
Yeah.
obsessing on videos and hitting all these shots and
Yeah.
going back and forth with your coaches over and over and over and spending a lot of time watching videos, watching the best player, and you're not obsessing in that area of that thing that you want to be, then nothing falls into alignment. So you have to
It's not
match,
gonna matter.
what I'd offer is match the behavior with what you say. And that's the secret to like momentum and speed.
Good. Good. So, so let me ask y'all this before we get into our rapid fire questions. I want to get both of you guys' take on what's the single most important thing that you've learned in this journey? Y'all been doing the mental performance coaches, coaching for years. What's the biggest thing you learn about junior golfers? We'll start with you, Coach Seiko.
Hmm. I think, we're human beings with a soul,
Mhm.
a beautiful soul. I believe everyone has a beautiful soul. But I
Right.
think we get so, I think junior golfers and people in general just get so distracted by what
Mhm.
people say or what they read, and it takes them away from who they really are, with their purpose, their life purpose. And so that's why it's just so important to know what you want. Make sure you have the right team around you, and you're very intentional with what you're doing, because again, everything whatever you're choosing to do, you're creating yourself. So it's either like I eat the cake or I refrain from it. So then, I have more stamina on the golf course. So you're always, I think, just going back, number one, most important thing is, just you're a human being, be kind
Mhm.
to yourself, but also be intentional,
Yeah.
and keep your promises, so you can be the best version of yourself as soon as possible, so you can
I
get
like
there.
that statement, Coach Seiko, because as junior golfers, as we see, they can be so hard on themselves. So, like you said, be kind to yourself. It's okay.
It's a journey, and
Yeah,
you're
it's a journey.
you're just starting to learn, more about yourself.
Yeah,
So do what's required, but also give yourself grace.
there you go. All right, Coach Aki, what's the single most important thing you've learned over the last couple of years teaching junior golfers?
Yeah, if you do what's required, you get to the result that you want.
Mhm.
And oftentimes, what gets in the way of doing what's required, and that comes from a story or something that we're saying ourselves that stalls us from doing it. So, two things. We all have everybody. We all have a fear of failure and we
Mm,
have a fear of rejection. They're not the same thing. So we kind of contain our fear in the same box. Fear of failure is me going up to the first tee and all this practice I put in, I'll still pump it out of bounds. And I'll be kind of mad at myself for that. Right. Like you can outwork and create systems to get through fear of failure. Fear of failure is healthy. Fear of
mhm.
rejection is like I did all this practice coming on the first tee box, and when I hit it, people aren't going to think I'm that good anymore. That's a different mechanism. And there's not enough balls and swing lessons you can take to
Mhm.
overcome that. And
Right,
Okay.
so the biggest thing is identify what's a fear of failure, what's a fear of rejection. Work on yourself to get over the fear of judgment. And then kids are already working hard. So the fear of failure, you can work through that with coaching, with lessons, with more time, with on a course, and you can put the effort in. Fear of rejection, you have to go inwards. So you don't feel the judgment like you said. And that would how I would container like, one of the single most important things that would either get you there or it won't.
right, right. Well, that's great. But listen, y'all, thank y'all so much for being on. I'm gonna ask y'all a couple of rapid fire questions. So I want to ask y'all, would y'all rather drive or putt?
But
Drive.
Putt, drive. I'm like you, Coach Seiko. I'd rather putt. I leave the driving up to them, right? All right. Dream foursome. If you had a pick of three players, Coach Seiko, who's your dream foursome?
hmm, I definitely want my dad,
Okay.
Tiger,
Okay.
and I'll say Hideki.
Okay. Matsumura. Okay. All right. What about you, Coach Aki? Dream
Excited.
foursome.
He didn't beat me
Hey,
good.
I knew he was gonna say you didn't pick me for dream foursome. All right. Dream foursome.
Dream foursome, it would be Seiko, my brother Jamie, and one of my best friends, Casey.
Oh,
Okay.
and we've had
Oh,
that.
see,
We've had that
And
see.
we've
before.
we've had that.
Yeah, it
Hey,
was fun.
But
It
if
was
I,
a
yeah,
oh,
fun
y'all,
trip.
y'all, y'all had that already? Y'all did it
Yeah,
already? Okay. Okay. Good. 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 Y'all like to walk or ride?
walk.
ride,
Gotcha. On course snack.
Hmm. Gosh.
beef jerky.
Beef jerky. I like beef jerky. I
Yeah.
like that. That's
I
good.
like
That's good
I
stuff.
like beef jerky. I do like this thing from Trader Joe's, these like dark chocolate and nuts,
Mhm.
mixed
Okay.
nuts.
So that's your on course snack. All right. On
Mhm.
course drink. What do you like to drink when you're out on the course?
Water.
Water.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No Gatorade, no vitamin water, nothing like that.
No, straight water.
All right. Favorite golf movie if you have one.
Happy Gilmore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number one, the first
Yep.
one.
Yep. Have y'all seen two?
I
I
have
have
seen two, yes.
seen
Okay.
two.
I have
Yeah.
not seen two yet. We're trying to wait. We're trying to wait for John,
Aw.
but I'm just gonna go ahead and watch it.
Yeah, there you go.
It's hard to get him to sit down and do anything. All right. So favorite golf course.
Coeur d'Alene in Idaho. It's where number 14 is the floating green,
Oh,
and you take a
okay.
boat to go there.
Okay.
And the course is like in always like tip top shape.
Okay. Okay. I have to. He says in Idaho, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Haven't heard about that one. All right. What about you, Coach Aki? Favorite
Me,
course?
White Little Golf Course on Kauai. Just the course I grew up playing on, just most memorable place that I
Okay.
spent most of my time.
Okay. All right. Good. 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 So, um, so if y'all could give thanks to anybody that's been with you all along this journey, who would y'all want to give thanks to?
I think there's too many,
Too
there's so
many?
many people, and I probably forget to
You're
list
right.
them, but I
Right.
would say like my mom and dad for sure.
Yeah.
They're always
Sure.
supported and us along the journey that we've had. We wouldn't be here without their support and their for
Big
me and
investment, right?
big investment.
Yeah.
There are people that got me into the game of golf. Randy Chang, he's a PGA golf professional from Southern California and Hawaii.
Shout out to
Um,
Randy, Coach
Henry
Randy.
Brunton has been a huge influence. Dr. Rick Jensen from golf has been a huge influence on us. Brian
Yeah.
Schipple, when I just got started, like in Edinburgh Chibuco Golf Club, like he's been a big influence. Michael Block has been a big influence. Matt
Oh, Mike
Donovan
Block.
from
Yeah.
yeah, at Arroyo and Jeff Cram. So there are people that kind of, for me, gave me like my footing when I got into the industry, that
Right.
they supported us through all the ups and downs.
Hmm.
And coaches that we have today that kind of are behind me anyways, like Satem Anali, he's a big coach of ours that has helped us through a lot of things along the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, like he's huge, and he just won a bodybuilding contest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's awesome. He's
Strong.
amazing.
You got anybody, Coach Seiko, you want to give thanks to?
Gosh, so many people too. I mean, definitely echoing Aki, but my mom and dad. I mean,
Yeah.
man, junior golf parents and
Woo.
thank you, junior golf
Stories.
mom and dad.
yeah.
Yes,
Yes. Experiences.
yeah, I remember my
Yeah.
dad, he was trying to take me to my usual like Friday night golf,
Uh-huh.
and he got a speeding ticket because he was just
Wow.
trying to get me
Gotta
there.
get you there.
So it's like, geez, the sacrifices and the things that my
Yeah.
parents have done, but also all, thank you to all the junior golf parents. We
Yeah.
see you, and
Yeah.
thank you, bro, for what you do.
Thank
And
y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
all
Can't
my
say
swing
thank you
coaches.
enough.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My swing coaches, one in particular, Tim Strady, he was my coach at IMG, took me to the next level for sure. He was always on time,
Mm.
early, the first coach to get to IMG. It's just, I mean, it's just the little things, right? Make the big
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
My coach Andrea Gaston, my coach at USC, she just won. Anyways, she's doing great. And
Yeah.
so again, everyone that Aki's mentioned, I
Hmm.
want to thank, and gosh, we're just so grateful because we wouldn't be here without them for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, listen, y'all do a great job of marketing. What's the best way for our listeners to get in contact with you to be a part of this, this mental performance family team Matsumura? What's the best way?
Yeah, they can go to our Instagram, Matsumura Golf, and then they
Right.
can always they can DM us to reach
Okay.
out, and we can provide, any sort of resources that they might be looking for to help and assist.
Good, good. And y'all do don't y'all do like an assessment or a session with the families that are interested?
Yeah, so families that are interested, we will always have, we have a process, a three-step process that will meet any family and player before they come in.
Correct.
We're always looking for congruence and alignment in our
Right.
coaching. And so, we'll go through three different sessions just to find if it's the right fit. And for those
Mhm.
that may not, we still have a ton of resources that we hand off just to give them what they need.
Great, great. Well, listen, y'all, thank y'all so much for being our guest on the podcast tonight. Again, we've been trying to get this done forever, and we finally got it done.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank
So
So
you.
thank you
again,
for the opportunity and just opening up, your world with us and allowing us a platform to share just what we do.
Yeah, for real. Thank you for what you do for